to the Noise Filter podcast. This week we have Joe Biddle. Hello, Joe. How you doing? You all right?
I'm good, mate.
So, Joe, if you could just describe to people who don't know you what you do.
Well, now I'm just a performing musician, really, more or less.
Yeah.
I live and work in Mallorca in the Balearics, which is one of the islands off in the Mediterranean, off Spain, in between Spain and Africa.
Yeah.
And it's lovely. I live in the north, and I've got the mountains on one side and the beach on the other, and I live in the country. And yeah, it's nice. It's nice. But in a previous life, I lived in Plymouth. I was born in Plymouth and brought up in Plymouth, and I like to think I had some influence on the music industry there for some time, as small as it was.
Yeah.
I ran a recording studio and had a record label and did some media stuff, and then later on I went to work in London and all around the country recording live bands. And at the time it was like the beginning of the kind of Firewire sound card, and no one really had the nuts to take a PowerBook G4 and a bunch of splitters and cables and a fairly rocky Logic system which wasn't very reliable because the Firewire technology was all brand new. It was the Firewire 400 stuff, and I used to turn up to places like Brixton Academy with 20 grand's worth of equipment and record hi-fi and things like that for a while, and that was kind of cool. And then yeah, as the music industry sort of declined, and I could see the way that YouTube was going, so I built Pressback Studios, and that was more focused on trying to make really, really cheap but as good quality as possible videos for musicians, because I could see that having worked with loads of media people that were making videos, a lot of my friends were coming to me. Like, my friend was like, "Oh, I've just recorded the Libertines, and but the audio's rubbish," and then he would just hand me like a DAT of the mix off the desk, which obviously was dry, had no reverb on it, it was distorted, and he was like, "Can you make the vocal?" And I was like, no. So I kind of explained to him what would have to be done to achieve that, and I would require a massive mixing desk. And then I was like, "But this is new technology, and I'm going to give it a go." And so, yeah, and so it was good fun, and I met loads of cool people. I met Leonard Cohen, Isaac Hayes.
Wow.
I could go on and on. It was endless. Like, there were some awesome people that I met along the way, and but you know, as with all, when you start working for famous people, you find that you end up earning less money. The more famous they are, the less you earn, because the kudos. So yeah, in the end, I had to just say, "Nah, I'm going back to Plymouth to get some money." So that's that. That's my story. And then yeah, after a few years, I kind of could see that the computer technology came on so far, and you know, people were happy to make records in their bedroom, and I understand why. You know, it's a much more comfortable place to be.
Yeah.
And so I quickly realised that it was going to get more and more difficult to earn a living. So I started doing some live performances, and then as time went on, I realised that I was earning more money singing and playing guitar. So
Yeah.
in the end, I was propping up my studio more and more and more, and then I came out to Mallorca to build a studio for an old client, and I brought my guitar, did a gig. Loads of people asked me if I played at a bar, so I played a bunch of different bars. They all asked me to come back. So when I got back to England, I thought, I don't want to be here. I'd like to be in Mallorca. So I went back, and yeah, the rest is history. I've been here ever since. It's been 4 years now.
Wow. It's a really nice way to sort of like make your money, isn't it? It's really nice sort of. You know, I bet it's pretty hectic though.
Oh God, the first 2 years were pretty alcohol fueled. It took a while to. I think I did the first season, which was 6 months. The first year I did like three months, and then the second year I did the full 6 months, and then I went straight to Tenerife and did 3 months in Tenerife. But when I came back from Tenerife, I was like, that. My hand was shaking because of the beer, you know, and I was like, "Oh man, I've got to stop drinking." So yeah, so now I'm all right. Now I'm like pretty teetotal, and life is good.
Oh, good man. Oh, that's really cool. What was so like many? I remember, like, for me, I met you 2009, I think. Does that
Sounds
sound
about right. Yeah, sounds about right.
And like, I often think about this, but like, I was really lucky to kind of bump into you and get involved in that area of the music scene? Because for me, I sort of think that was the beginning of my journey a little bit. Just sort of doing that kind of led me to where I am now, which I'm massively thankful to you for sort of shepherding me through that. So, but you did that for lots of people, didn't you? Like a lot of people sort of came by and sort of, you know, you sort of helped out that music scene, and I think that's like a really nice thing to be able to do. And I got a lot of time for that idea of like building a community of people and like connecting.
I was always into that, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I had help, you know, really. Like, I had a lot of help with my friend Sam, who had Ride Cafe.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was a you know, how Sam and I became friends was Sam had the first ride on North Hill, you know, which I don't know what it's called now. It's next to Cuba, you know. Mm-hmm. And I think it's called Bang Bang or something like that now, isn't it?
I think you're right, yeah.
And what he tried to do, this was a derelict building, you know, and it was right outside the student university, and he saw the potential in it. And Sam, being as crazy as he was, he just went for it, and he tried to make a smart bar. Well, I had Edge Studios at the time, you know, above Vibes Music.
Yeah.
I had this massive TV in there that was just in my way. It was it was like, I don't know, it was like the biggest TV you could get. I can't remember where I got it. Someone gave it to me, or I didn't pay much for it anyway, you know. And it had this weird connection on the back of it. And I said to my friend, Sam, I only met him like a week before. I was like, this TV, you know, you want it? And he's like, yeah, all right. And then he kept on giving me things forever. I was like, I don't want anything. Just, you know, like, I'm just happy to get rid of it. So when we became friends, and then he took the other bar, Ride Cafe, which was down the road. And that was when, like, and, you know, I know you interviewed Alex not so long ago, Al Jones.
Yeah.
And Al started doing an open mic there. And it was actually Al that got me to do my first song on stage, because I'd been making records for years. But, you know, it's funny because I've always helped other people, because it's easier to help other people than it is to help yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. You don't have to have any confidence in yourself.
No.
You just got to see the confidence in, you just got to believe in someone else's ability. And then it's very easy to put all your energy into trying to help someone else than to feel like you're good enough in yourself to do the same job, if that makes sense, you know?
No, absolutely. It's really easy to like give someone advice on what they need to change in their situation to make them better, but it's really hard to recognise it for yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, nice. I think there's a lot to be said. But like nowadays, I sort of see with like the internet that people like the really successful people are the ones that create those communities, create those kind of like feedback loops, and I think that's like a lot to be said for like how I've interviewed a few people who do like sort of, there's a guy called Mike TV who does a Twitch stream, and that basically he just goes on Twitch and just plays music. People come and watch him, and they pay him money just to do that. But it's about that community, isn't it? It's about this where you like you have people that you sort of engage with, and that is, I think, a lot of the secret of being sort of successful, is that sort of networking and kind of all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no one can do it on their own. If you think you can do it on your own, you're an idiot, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
And why would you want to do it on your own? Where's the fun in that? Sat around. I mean, that's the downside of what I do now. Is like, it's not great money. But it's all right if you do it on your own.
Yeah.
But if you start, you know, I mean, it's the same for all musicians. If you're in a band and there's four of you, then, you know, I saw a Facebook thing not so long ago about the drummer who's like, has to pack all his gear, drive 200 miles, do a gig, drive 200 miles back, sweat his ass off, and there's another £50, you know? So it's really not worth it to share with other people in this context, which is a bit shame. So I kind of do miss that. I miss playing with other people, and I miss being able to help them. You know, the open mic nights was such a success. We used to have like 22 people on stage in over 2 hours, you know?
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it was
you
just
see a lot
insane.
of those people now have like gone on to like have fairly successful things going on, haven't they? You know?
Yeah.
A lot of
You
people...
yourself included, you know?
Well, yeah, but it was like a kind of like a boot camp almost, or like some sort of just, you know, it's a really invaluable thing, and I kind of wonder if that's still, I guess it still happens. I'm just not part of it anymore. But
this is what someone was saying to me the other day, like, you know, Plymouth's not what it was. It's not what it was since you left. Like, there's no real scene. There's no centre core. And I'll just turn around and I'll say, and it happens to me, like, honestly, people say this to me like once every month. Like, once a month, someone will say that, and I'll say the same thing to every single person and say, look, you're in your 30s now.
yeah,
that's still happening. It's just not happening in Ride, and it's not, you know, you just don't know where it is because you've moved on. You're 30. You've got a kid. You know.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, it's.
I'm sure it's still happening. You know.
Yeah.
People grow up and they, you know, the youth have got the energy to create stuff, and I'm sure it's still happening somewhere in Plymouth.
Yeah. I just think it was like at that time it was just like and all the people that I've spoke to about it are all much in the same boat because we're all the same class of whatever year it was, you know. It's just like that, but it was good. It was really good, and it kind of, you know, it changed things for me in a really good way.
I got a bit depressed with the whole Ride thing in the end because obviously Ride started to deteriorate as Sam took on the other bar, the Thirst, you know, which was massive and was draining a lot of money. So there was that, and also I was getting older.
Yeah.
And, you know, like small talking all the time. You know, it's like no disrespect to hairdressers, but it's like when you only get, you know, an hairdresser only ever gets an hour with their client, so it's the same conversation.
Yeah.
You know, there's only so far you can go into a conversation with someone when you've only got an hour to spend with them.
Yeah.
So, and in a bar environment where you're trying to entertain and you know, connect people and do all those things that are important and inspire people and all that, you find you only got 10 minutes to talk to them. And after a few years of it, I was getting older and thinking, man, I just can't really be around all these 18-year-olds anymore.
Yeah.
You know, not in a derogative, it's just like I wasn't growing up, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
So it was time. It was time to move on.
What's your... Because you've done a lot of recording with people, and like I just heard something you released the other day, which I really like the sound of. What's your, like, how... with your music, are you still recording your songs and stuff? Are you still kind of...
No, I haven't. I never did really. I only ever recorded a couple of songs, and in fact, one of the guys that I taught to produce, Dave Ankers, who's turned into a brilliant producer.
Yeah.
He produced one of my tracks for me, and he literally forced me to do it because I have no confidence in my own stuff. I do now. I mean, I listened to Ed Sheeran's album the other day, and I really like Ed Sheeran, but I thought, for like one of the biggest selling artists of all time now, like, it's not that good, you know.
Yeah.
It's not. I'm not saying it's not good, but I'm just saying, like, all of a sudden I think, well, actually, my songs are better than I thought they were. Then, if that's what everyone's buying, then I guess my songs are all right, you know.
Yeah.
It's a shame I'm 43 and I just realised that maybe I'm not as crap as I thought I was, you know.
Yeah. It's got to make it
So
happen.
yeah, I've got it, and this is why it's really good because now I work 6 months a year.
Yeah.
I can choose if I want to go touring in the winter. I got offered to go back to Tenerife, but I said no this year because I want to record some songs and finish my studio. And so yeah, this year is the year where I've decided that I do need to at least put a couple of songs down that I really like, that I know are good songs.
Yeah.
So that will be happening for sure in the next couple of months.
I like the look of that. Do you think, like, you sort of when you were doing your studio, you sort of were kind of on the cusp of that, like that changeover from the internet getting, you know, like kind of taking people away from buying physical media, and like you were saying, you get moving into video and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's kind of like? Do you think we'll see that? Do you think that transition that's happened there? Is it finished? Are we like transformed into the position that we will be for the next bit for a while, or is this like?
I don't know. I think that's quite hard to to ascertain. I mean, interesting things that happen in the music industry. It's very difficult to know what the future is, isn't it? Because if the music industry knew what the future was, I'm pretty sure Apple, a computer company, wouldn't be the biggest distributor of music in the world now. No one saw that coming. 10 years ago, you know, the record industry was fighting with Napster and trying to actually stop people from downloading, rather than go, hang on a minute, no, that's actually really like zero cost distribution. You know, and distribution had so many problems. To get a distribution deal, you had to have a record deal. To get a record deal, you had to have a publishing deal. But you couldn't get a publishing deal unless you had a record deal, because the publishers knew you wouldn't be able to collect any money because there's no record deal. And then if you did get a distribution deal, you'd have to pay out a load of money to get the CDs manufactured and distributed to all these places. And then if they didn't sell, you'd have to pay to have them picked up and destroyed. Yeah. And so all of that infrastructure is gone, but the record label were fighting to keep that, the record industry. Well, I suppose, and in the meantime, Apple took it.
Yeah, I suppose everyone's always in, like, no one wants to destroy the means for which everyone gets paid, do they? No one wants to go, right, this is our. Don't
start talking about politics, Dan. Yeah. We ain't got time for that. Otherwise, your government would sort out the NHS.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, very true. Yeah, that's a very frightening topic to think about, isn't it?
Isn't it? It's terrible. But yeah, it's true. Everyone wants to protect their own interests. Like, and the record label did that to the point where Apple just whipped it right out from under their feet.
Yeah.
YouTube have whipped out media in terms of, like, now I don't watch scheduled television at all. I'm more than happy to spend my hours on my smart TV watching YouTube.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting. You can pick and choose. I'm not held or fixed to any point, you know, of time where I have to be in front of my computer or my TV.
Yeah.
So it's so yeah. I mean, I guess, like, with that, you'd have to say the future of music is probably there needs to be more protection for musicians, but I don't think it's like DRM, like digital rights or anything like that. There's nothing more annoying than losing your iTunes password or something, or changing your ID, and all of a sudden you've lost all your old songs, and you know, no one wants that. You know, I don't think so. There needs to be like a new. I mean, I always said I couldn't understand and I still don't understand why you don't have some sort of pocket data attached to an audio file. And by that I mean, I used to love having a big record label, a big record, and looking at where it was recorded and who was playing on it, and what instruments they use, and any other, and all that stuff's kind of gone. The album left, which in a way is a good thing, you know, because no one ever really cared about EPs, where now you can release an EP or a single, or you can release an album and people only buy one single.
Yeah.
So all of those sort of old school formats are gone. So I guess, like, the new formats I hope will be like, when you download a file, it should come with a lot more than just the audio. Like, it should have like the pictures and all that stuff. It should be like, things should be more flexible, because we're all becoming more flexible. We all have more ways of watching, viewing, listening, learning. So yeah, flexibility and sort of ease of use is probably the future of music. I don't even know what I'm saying, but you know what I mean.
No, I get what you mean. I mean, I think, like, I think a byproduct of all the digital stuff is that people now quite like having tangible physical things, like having like a record. I quite often buy records. I don't buy CDs anymore, but I love getting a record and just going, like, right, I'm going to listen to this album. I'm going to, like, look at the artwork, and that sort of died when we got into MP3s, which are brilliant. I love having MP3s. I love having my phone with, like, my entire music collection on it. That's awesome. But then I love also coming home and going, right, I'm going to stick on a record. I'm going to stick on something really like a tangible thing that I've got. I don't know.
Yeah, but I also remember that, I mean, I've bought thousands of CDs over the years, thousands, and I made that decision. I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna rip everything into my iTunes, buy a €350 or pound iPod, which was 60 gigabyte. It don't work now. I've still got it somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna do away with them. And my main reason was, like, sometimes I sit there looking at my CDs thinking, where is that CD? And I can spend ages trying to find it. And now I just type in,
boom,
I don't know, you know, like nothing but thieves or whatever. Every album they've done is there. And, you know, so I realised that straight away, that it was definitely a move. But yeah, and there you go. You know, you hit the nail on the head, because I was going to say about vinyl, because you said it died, but look at the revival of vinyl now. I mean, I was making dance records. And when the vinyl had died, there was still that market for records. Yeah. Because it was before, like, Serato and all these kind of DJ packages were fully, like, massive. So people still wanted to buy vinyl, and the dance industry kept vinyl alive. And then as the Tractor and all that came out, and everyone started mixing MPEG-3s, and then you don't need any talent at all to. You don't even have to beat match, you know.
No, you just push go, just push mix.
Yeah, figure it all out for you. Then of course everyone moved to that. Yeah. But then the indie market picked up on vinyl and realised that they were actually sick of the high end of CD, and now it's reborn again. I think DMS, you know, Disc Manufacturing Services, their main income now, their main sales is in vinyl, you know?
Yeah.
And who saw that coming?
No, absolutely. But it's you can it feels like a total like sort of societal answer to this, like destroy everything that we have, make it all digital because it's much more easy to access and it's new. And that was great. And like, who doesn't love having everything they have, like having their entire collection on their computer? The ease is amazing. I can just go anywhere and I've got all my stuff. But there is something to this feeling of like taking something out and like putting it on and consciously having to, especially with a record, because you have to listen to the whole thing, don't you? You have to kind of go, I'm going to play both sides, I'm not going to skip tracks, and that makes you appreciate, especially if it's an album you love, that makes you kind of appreciate it all the more. And
yeah, those days are gone, aren't they, of like knowing what the next track was as the last track finished and stuff, you know.
Or like
you don't get so much, and like picking up the record to put it to the next one if you want to skip the track.
That's the kind of ball ache you need, isn't it?
Yeah, but it isn't. It isn't. It depends which way you look at it. I mean,
yeah.
I don't know. It's funny, like, you know, I remember, it's like when the MPEG revolution really took a strong hold, like, I remember thinking, like, I'm watching you now with your Apple iPod earphones in, thinking, I was mixing on, like, Dynacord BM15 active speakers, a set of NS10s, and really, like, putting a lot of effort into trying to get a nice even balance and everything sounding amazing.
Yeah.
And then most people listen to it on their phone.
Yeah.
And it might not even be the iPod speakers. It could just be like the earphones. It could just be the, you know, the loudspeaker on the actual phone itself. So I guess that sort of real nerdy kind of appreciation of sound quality is kind of gone. My friend yesterday was like pissing around on my computer. She said, "Where's the volume?" I went, "It's on the amp." It's there. And she was like, "Oh yeah, you got a stereo." It's like no one's got stereos anymore, you know what I mean? My stereo is my pride and joy. I've listened to every mix that I did in my studio. Always needed a hi-fi reference, and like every record I ever mixed has been listened through these TDL speakers and my Music Fidelity amp, and like I just can't imagine life without it. But most people never even had it in their life.
No.
Weird.
It's weird, isn't it? As we strive forwards for this high fidelity, like the strive for fidelity has been like, you know, kind of thwarted by everyone just going, actually, I'm all right just listening to it on my phone. I'm just going to check out my
convenient.
Phone. Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying about the future of the music industry is probably just convenience.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily like, because they were talking about super audio, you know, because you know, like, it was when digital first came out. It was 44.1, 48, and you know, you had a Tascam DAT 48K, and then you had to mix it down to 44.1 before you could put it on a CD. And I could tangibly notice the difference in the bottom end and in the length of the reverb tails on quieter, you know, like more open music.
Yeah,
you could hear there wasn't so much reverb quality and depth, and you know, and I was like, that sounds better on that. And then there was a 96K. But that never made it to CD, and then they were talking about super audio, but none of those things materialised because no one cared.
Yeah, convenience was enough, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was it? Neil Young had the lossless audio player. I think it's called Pony or something, and he was like a pioneer of that like idea of like, let's have these really high fidelity recordings, and you could buy certain albums in this super high fidelity. But like you say, nobody, until it becomes like standard, no one wants it, do they? It's too much trouble. No.
It's quite hard to make something standard, I think, in the world, you know?
Yeah, I think you're right, yeah. I mean, like, Betamax and VCR is a classic example of that, isn't it?
It takes big companies to get together. Like, MIDI was invented by like, Yamaha and a couple of other, you know, Roland, Yamaha and a couple of other companies got together and said, right, we need a standard so as we can all talk to each other.
Yeah.
And that took some doing, you know?
Yeah.
And then again, Sony Philips got together and invented the SB diff, you know, Sony Philips digital interface.
Yeah.
And so we had a digital, at least we had a standard connector for, you know, an ADAT had their optical, and so now we have those two formats. You know, but we don't really want 7 formats, you know, just because you come up with a better one. Like you say, Betamax, VHS, someone's got to take the standard.
Yeah.
And the new standard is MPEG 3, MPEG 4. Do we need anything else until everyone starts having amazing speakers? Because they were talking about 5-1, and I always thought to myself, who's going to mix everything in 5-1? Like most people don't even set their stereos up properly, you know.
No, that's right.
Look,
yeah.
and how often do you actually sit right in the middle in the exact sweet spot of your hi-fi? Like never. So, you know, what is the real benefit of mixing a bunch of audio in 5-to-1 unless you're like a real nerd?
Yeah.
You're probably not going to be have that setup, and you're not going to be sat in the right place. And so, yeah, I think it has topped out in terms of quality. You know, I don't know that there's any need for a higher quality standard, particularly. And I think everyone's happy with the standard that music is now.
I wonder if like, yeah, you're right. It's like
I'm talking about quality here, though,
Yeah,
not quality of music. I'm talking about the
actual
quality of the recording.
Yeah.
The quality of music. I mean, that's another story altogether. And everything's gone so like. I mean, I hear like Melodyne on almost everything I hear now.
Yeah.
Even great singers are tuned. You know, because any sort of waver of anything now is considered to be not good enough. But Mary J. Blige made her entire career out of being very slightly dissonant, you know?
Yeah.
So, and I feel like everything now is a bit, there's not enough dissonance in music anymore, you know?
We've lost these kind of like Bob Dylans, and instead you've just got these like generic, normalized, everyone's perfected. Like, I'm recording an album like at the minute, and I'm doing vocal takes, and I've been shown like where I am on the auto tune, just seeing where I am, and it's like, it's bad, you know, it's like fucking embarrassing. But you
not bad.
Well,
it's not bad, you know.
In the realm of perfection, it's like it would be concerning, and it's, I don't know, it's just.
Do you know, like, I remember years ago when we first started getting into clicks, you know, like, and I mean like, I was happy to put clicks on stuff and happy to not, you know?
Yeah.
Especially when we were, like, in the days of ADAT, you know, where everything was being locked via a big remote controller. And then you'd have to sync up your Cubase 3.0 on your Atari with an iRes monitor, you know, and then you load. I've still got my Akai S3200 XL sampler in there. Nice. And it was a big minefield of getting everything together. So, you know, I was quite happy to not have clicks. And then, obviously, once you could do a lot more with production, you kind of wanted the drummers to play to a click, but that brings all sorts of other problems. And at the end of the day, it's natural for a drummer to speed up a little bit, coming out of a fill, and push the band forward into the next section of music.
Yeah, there's like an ebb and flow, isn't there?
Yeah, exactly, but that's not natural for a click, because a click isn't natural.
Yeah. And
the same for tuning, you know, it's like, it's all right to bend up to a note, you know, or to be slightly above a note, and it's a bit like a well-tempered piano tuning, you know, like, it's called well-tempered because the notes are tuned relative to each other.
Yeah.
So if you in other words, if you tune a piano, like, and you just take each note and you put every note perfectly in tune, you play a chord, it's out of tune,
right? Because
the harmonic resonances don't fit, and so. For you to believe that computer is saying you're that much out of tune, it ain't correct.
Yeah.
Because you're singing, your ear is more likely to be able to pick up where the dissonance fits. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm sure a more talented singer would be able to. I'm sure. Yeah, I know what you mean. We do live in this like horribly perfectionist world, and it's kind of like the sort of it kind of changes music into this like homogenous perfection that has no spirit or no soul, and it's like,
exactly.
As soon as you like chop everything up and comp everything up, you kind of take away some of those magical feelings of like connecting with a musician.
But that's the harmonic resonance that's going on between notes. That is what I'm saying, is like you might be singing there because that brass part's doing that, and that string part's going like that, and actually if you put yourself in the middle of that, there's more room for your vocal there, because it's not exactly at the same frequency of those two things around it. And that's why you're singing there, not because you can't hear what's happening and you're out of tune. That's what I'm saying. It's like, you can't always believe what the computer's telling you.
No.
Because if you did, you'd be a drummer who never moved forward on a fill and would be bang on the click when it came round.
Yeah.
But that's not right,
no.
You know?
I've seen so many people like lose all their groove just trying to play to a click, you know, like really good drummers that you think would be awesome. It's funny, isn't it? It just kind of kills the I don't know, it kills something in it.
Well, in the end, I used to program the click. Yeah. So I would just say, right, play the song, and I would sit down and I'd write out every bar and the entire arrangement. And I'd just write it all down and go, right, it's 6 bars of that, 10 bars of that, 12. and all the time signatures, everything. And I'd write the whole lot down, and then I would tempo map the lot.
Yeah.
And every time I came to where he was going to fill, I would just tweak up a couple of BPM for all the fills.
Yeah.
And it changed it as a game changer, absolute game changer, you know? It was always worth putting the tempo map in to start, because that's what you can kind of introduce that human feel a little bit, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. So just coming away from like music business, what do you think? What sort of inspired you at the start of your little music career? What was the thing that kind of got you?
Probably my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I grew up around. My dad was a musician, a bass player, and a singer. And he'd retired from that by the time I never got to see him play, you know. But I remember being in his in my loft, and I opened up this big chest, and there was just like all sorts of like magazines from Spain and France and starring, you know, my dad's band, and he never really said much about it, but you know, they toured a lot, and obviously the 60s and the 70s were like the heyday for live bands.
Yeah.
Before the, you know, the craziness of the 80s pop revolution and, you know, £2,000 a day studios and all that stuff. And, you know, 10 grand Lexicon reverb units and whatnot. So I guess that's what got me started. I mean, I grew up listening to Floyd. Floyd was like Gilmour was the guy that got me into electric guitar. Tracy Chapman was the woman that got me into acoustic, and Joni Mitchell and people like that. Joni Mitchell Blue was just like an insanely amazing album.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I guess I always listened to music. I was always a musician. I was always the kid that knew the lyrics to every song in the charts. And I always thought, like, I never realised while I was at school that I was supposed to be a musician, you know?
Yeah.
So I didn't study music. I never even tried. I just saw everyone listen to music all the time. That's what everyone did. And then, yeah, by the time I got to 17, I started playing guitar because I was bored, skint, couldn't afford to go to the pub, 17. And, yeah, so I just sat in a room and played guitar, and after a couple of months, couldn't put it down.
Yeah, that's cool, isn't it? What was that, like, obviously sort of Joni Mitchell and all those other things. Is there anything else that kind of inspired you later on? Is there any stuff? Yeah. I saw him like a year and a half ago. He was pretty good.
Didn't you come up with? You came up to London with us.
Yeah.
That was a mad one. I drove to London for 4 hours. You all got to watch Think. We all sat around, had a conversation with him afterwards. He signed all our albums, and I got in the car and drove us all back.
Yeah, that was mad. That was so much better than the time I saw him. He was so much, because we saw Ben Howard support him, didn't we?
Right. That was the first time we all met Ben Howard as well, wasn't it?
Yeah. That is crazy times.
And Ollie James. Have you interviewed Ollie James?
No.
You know Ollie James, all right?
I don't know. I don't think so.
He worked for the PMC.
Okay. No, I haven't.
He was Ben Howard's tour manager for the whole time that his rise to fame, and for like 2.5 years, he tour managed all his tours all over America, everything.
Wow.
You should try and get Ollie. He'll be able to tell you. He's a really funny guy as well. You really like Ollie. He's hilarious. But he'll swear a lot. I will tell you this. He will swear a lot. Right. You'll be beeping everything out.
It's all good. It's all good. You I remember when you were like in Plymouth. You were in a bit of a small band, just recording stuff with Cat Marsh and
Tim Creswell.
Yeah. Whatever happened to all of that?
I think, to be honest, it was mostly me. Like, I was just stressing out about keeping the studio alive all the time, so I couldn't really like focus. I mean, it was really good stuff. We were called Pack of Wolves.
Yeah.
It was decent. There's a lot of good tunes in there, but yeah, it's just one of them. I saw Tim actually last year. He came out to Mallorca, and we were talking about it, and he was like, "Man, we could have definitely done something." And he was right, you know. And I was like, "Yeah, I know," but for me, it was just too much to keep my studio alive. Yeah. That's why I'm in a better place now, because I don't have all them. You know, when you do 12-hour days in the studio, and at the end of it, you have to do all your accounts, and when you finish that, you need to get online and make sure your website's updated. And
it's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot.
Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah.
It's too much.
I think that's part of the killer, isn't it? Like, everything now is kind of, there's this feeling like you have to be responsible, especially at the start of a project. You have to do everything, don't you? You have to be, you have to be the accountant. You have to be the website designer and booking everybody, and it's what kills bands, I suppose, isn't it? It's just this like you don't earn enough money to kind of pay anyone to do it and help out.
I've managed bands before, and that was like a nightmare because the manager's always the first person to take the blame for everything, and actually, you just work your ass off forever. That you're usually working for a younger band, don't really appreciate it,
Yeah.
And in the end, it's just too easy for them to walk away once they've had everything they can get out of you. They can just, unless you want to take them to court and sue them. That's another problem with the music industry, Like I had a record signed to a Spanish record label called Bubble Soul, and I was trying to get it on Defected, and they were like, no, we'll sign it. And then I found it on a Defected compilation, and which sold like 50,000 copies, but I never saw a penny. Amazing. And I went to a lawyer, and they said, yeah, they've definitely ripped you off, and you definitely could take them to court, but in reality, it's probably about £7,000, and my fee will be about 5,000, and it's going to really hurt. It's going to take 6 months to a year of your time, and it's going to. Yeah. Do you really want to do it? And I was like, nah.
No, that's a pain in the ass, isn't it?
Yeah.
I suppose in some ways it's a bit like what Spotify does, isn't it? They just kind of like. No one's paying anyone. No one's paying anyone any money, and everyone just expects music to somehow be free. And
yeah, they do these days.
And I suspect that like bands now just have to make their money through playing live and merchandise, and just everyone just assumes you're going to get an album for free on Spotify. Or I mean, I've had people come up to me and like we've been selling CDs, and they go, "Are you on Spotify?" And I go, "Yeah." And they go, "I won't buy one." And you go, "Well, yeah." That's like, yeah. But
then it's still your choice. You could just not be on Spotify.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to be fair, like there's no real reason to be on Spotify unless you've already got enough money, and all you're trying to do is increase your fan base.
Yeah.
But up until that point, it's actually a negative.
Yeah.
And you just said it there. You've just proved the point. Like, unless you're Lady Gaga or something. But then if you're Lady Gaga or whatever, you don't need to be on Spotify anyway.
I wonder how much stuff you have to be on for people to see you as legitimate. So, like, I wonder if, like, having your album on Spotify adds a legitimacy to your product. And people see it and go, like, oh, I can find them on iTunes, Spotify, blah, blah, blah. They feel like a more professional thing.
What the only thing that adds legitimacy to your product is, do you mean it? Yeah. Is it any good?
Yeah.
And a good example of that is someone like the Civil Wars, who I absolutely super rate. And I know obviously they split up a long time ago. I saw them in Bristol actually, and it just puts. I mean, my hairs on my arms are standing up now. It's just insane how good they were. I mean, it's just a thunderously amazing sound that any two-piece could possibly come up with. It was raucous. No management. At first, no record label, no distribution, because obviously they're on iTunes.
Yeah.
And I mean, those two guys, they did one album, and then they split up halfway through the second album. They finished the album. I can't imagine they sold anything like the same amount of copies of the second album, but I can't imagine that they need to even work again.
Yeah.
Based on what they probably earned from selling that album in that 2-year period of time, they've probably done enough work. And because they haven't had to pay loads of people loads of money, like record labels and I would imagine they're trickling in maybe 10 grand a year each to keep them going, and they probably got like 100 grand each, or a couple hundred grand each, or $500,000 each.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's very, very hard to say.
Yeah.
I mean, they will have publishing because no one in their right mind wants to sit there and think about all the places they need to go and get the money from radio stations. I think it's going to be quite difficult to. That's one part of the industry I think will be around for quite some time. Will be publishing because it's just a lot of work,
Yeah, I think we've seen a massive. I mean, I've talked about this with everybody I've been on. It's been on this show pretty much, but like we have seen an incredibly seismic shift from when we started buying music to now, and all of the industries are like completely, like you said, like Apple. No one would have thought for a minute Apple would be in charge. Like iTunes would be like the place where everyone gets everything. Like no one for a minute thought that. And
no,
it's a really exciting time in that sense because you can be like the Civil Wars and you can release something and then pocket most of the money for doing it. And there's the gatekeepers are removed, and it's a really positive time because you can just like post a video of something and then it blow up and people go, "Wow, who's this person?"
Yeah.
But also, in the same respects, so many people can do that we're flooded with like a stream of shit constantly. Oh,
And
yeah.
you know, Apple don't give a shit. You know what I mean?
No.
I can't imagine how many iTunes records there are that are just absolutely
Tripe.
shockingly
Yeah.
recorded on. And at the end of the day, Apple just go, yeah, give us 50 quid.
Yeah.
On
You
go.
Yeah. But that's.
It's
I feel like
little
that's a
bit
better
silly.
system. I feel like there's a better system than having like somebody go, "Oh, you're not good enough. You can't make an album." Because you get these moments where people like that would never have been picked up get an opportunity to do something, and I suppose it's like a good thing for the creative world that everybody has a chance to make a noise. And yeah, I don't know. I think
I don't know. I mean, I'm still a firm believer in if you mean it and something's really good and you really give it your all, like, and you're good
yeah,
and you believe in yourself, then you should be able to make a living out of it in this world much easier. You know, it's like there's not as much money out there, number one, for anyone. Like, there's less of a pot for all the musicians,
yeah,
but that pot is spread out amongst more musicians now than it ever was before.
yeah. So
And it's a bit like, you know, there's enough money to go around there to give everyone with talent. If you write a good song and people like it, then it's probably going to sell enough to keep you all right for a little while, you know. And that should be enough, unless you want to be super famous. But if I had a pound for every time someone came in my studio and I said, and especially back in the days of the karaoke when that was just, you know, 35% of my business was people wannabe singers.
Yeah.
And I used to say, oh, what are you doing in here then? Oh. And the first thing they'd say, like 80% of them would say, I want to be famous.
Yeah.
And I'll go, what about being a singer? How about
having some
you
talent.
want to come in and sing a song and you want to leave thinking, wow, I'm really proud of that. That's amazing. It's really, really good. I've done a really good job of that.
Yeah.
What about that? No, I want to be famous, don't I?
Yeah. Well, it's a real seismic shift in the idea that like not having any talent, but just the talent of fame is the answer, which is
Well, yeah. But then there's always Big Brother if you want that, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, that's true. So I've got a few little things that I like to try and ask people about. Is there anything like, I suppose you probably, it's different for you now, but like, is there anything that you do? I mean, you used to, with the open mics and stuff, you did entirely create this kind of community of people that would all come together. Is there anything you do now to keep that kind of community feel going, or is there anything that you do like interact? How do you interact with people that you're?
I was doing it, to be honest. I don't want to talk negatively about anything, but I was bringing musicians out here for a little while, and then the year before last, I brought a guy out who happened to come from Plymouth with a very, very large ego and a small mind, and he basically just completely put me off.
Right.
Like, I don't even want to go into it, but he did so many things that I just thought, you know. And I looked at him and I thought, look at you. You want to be famous. You're like an Ed Sheeran wannabe. You think you're going to be famous, but you don't realise that it's people, you know, without people skills. And like you were saying, without being able to build on a community and bring people together and have people believe in you, like, you're not going to get there.
No.
You know, because you have too much of an inflated ego and you're just too sure. Like I said to him, like, you should try and put a passing chord in. He played me one of his songs, and you should put a passing chord in between that song, like, because that will just bridge you into that, in between that section. If you put that chord in there. And he looked at me and he went, hey, you know, I've finished this, mate. And he's like 22, and I'm looking at him going, man, I used to get paid 30, 40 quid an hour to give people this information. And I'll just give you like a little side, and you really put me down, and I thought, crikey, man, you're never going to get there.
No, I think a massive thing for me is that you have to listen and learn, don't you? Like, don't be so arrogant that you can't admit that you're wrong, or like, don't be so arrogant that you won't take someone's advice.
You don't even have to take it, but at least listen to it.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
So yeah, I guess I'm less like at this moment now. Like, I don't really want to do anything other than sort my own life out and get some records down for myself, and that's something I should have done 20 years ago.
Yeah, you should have done it. You should have done it when I was in Plymouth, to be honest, shouldn't you?
Yeah, I should have done it when I was in Plymouth, when I had all those amazingly talented musicians who were all prepared to help me out.
Yeah.
You know, because I'd spent my whole life helping them out. I should have done it then, but you know, like, I knew that I shouldn't have carried on running a recording studio, but I saw Press Pack when it was a shell, and I just couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. It was too beautiful.
It's a dream, wasn't it? And it was a dream. It was like a beautiful place where everybody could just, I don't know, it felt like somewhere people could just go, and like having the option of having someone who knows a little bit about that type of thing is like invaluable, isn't it? Like for me, I've got I have, you know, Matt Arundel. He's like the guitarist in Company B. He runs Company B.
Hmm.
Like he does that for me, and he's like, it's having people that can kind of like give you music advice that you kind of actually believe and that it has some value is, you know, is amazing.
Yeah, but like I say, you know, like it was time for me to go. Like I got a bit sick, like after Claire Robinson put like a Mr. Music on the front page of the Herald, and I was a bit like, oh. And then I got like Mr. Music forever. Like everyone was calling him Mr. Music, and I was like, oh. And you know, like I never really felt like I was a particularly good musician per se, like performance-wise. But I never had a problem pulling even the best musicians up. I know I always had good ears to be able to go, no, that's not right, or maybe you should try this or try that. Yeah. Which is why it was so shocking to have a 20-year-old say, "Oh, you can't tell me what to do with my song." And I thought, but you know, I can sit there and tell Pete Doherty, and he never give me such a hard time as you give me. Like, you know what I mean? What's going on? So yeah, I kind of feel like at the time I felt like it's time to pass that on, and we thought this. You know, there must be hundreds of people in Plymouth kicking ass now. I'm sure, you know. Yeah. And you got DBS are doing really well, and they've come of age, and they've probably like ironed out all the creases of the early years, and you know, yeah. I mean, I think. Yeah, I think I don't know. I don't think there's anything negative to say about the music industry, really. Like apart from the media machine is still as crap as it always was. Still, you know, like still thinks that Taylor Swift's the best thing since sliced bread. You know, don't get me wrong. And I've always had a time for pop, you know, and I've always had time to tell people, like, just because you don't like it, don't think that One Direction is shit. Like, I don't want to hear One Direction is shit, because if One Direction was shit, do you honestly think like they would have had the energy, the power, and the strength to get themselves? You know, they didn't just bumble along and have everything done from it. You know, like, you know, you got to have talent to be able to get somewhere. You got to have drive. You have to have focus. You have to have like a bunch of different skills and talents to be able to make that happen. So to just palm everything off is shit. But then I do say that the media machine, you know, gets behind too much crap. It's quite it's not very it hasn't got much balls.
No. I think it kind of goes back to what we were saying about this, like homogenizing of all music, isn't it? Like I think people find that, as with any music, you know, all music becomes something that we love, and then we destroy it because it becomes too commercial, and then we go back round, and it's just this constant like music eating itself, isn't it? And I suppose like we're in a phase now where probably we love the idea of like really everything sounding like perfection, but at some point that will become really saccharine, and we will get like you're saying, you can hear Melodyne on everything.
Yeah,
that will die, and people will want something real, won't they? And that's probably like why Ed Sheeran is like a reaction to that kind of music, is that people are going, actually, let's hear somebody play a guitar, let's hear somebody sing, even, you know, it's just a song.
It's funny you said will, but like actually it already has. That's why the live industry is so important now. It is like much like people are happier. Like it used to be that you would go and do a tour, like someone like, if I go back like years, like maybe someone like Seal, for example, you know, he would do a tour to increase awareness of his album, and then they make the money off the sales of the album. Well, now it is a complete reversal where you know, the album just has to do enough to get the awareness up so people book to go and watch the tour, and that's where they make their money. So, you know, but I don't know that that's a bad thing, though. And it's weird for me to say that, because I was so into like making things perfect in an era where it was very difficult, right? Like I was saying before, where you had to like Synty code all this up to that, and MTC lock this to this, and 3A that, and all this nonsense, you know. And so there was a beauty in making something sound super sweet and perfect. But now I don't feel like that at all. I feel exactly the opposite. I want to hear all those imperfections and the people breathing, and we used to cut all that out, you know?
Yeah. Well, because I think it's because, like, as soon as you get a technology, you go, right, let's find out what we can do. Let's find, and it becomes this, like with technology and music, the option to make something perfect is quite tempting, isn't it? It's quite tempting it's quite tempting to go, actually, I can get rid of all that breathing. I can auto-tune this. I can tempo map this, and I can chop it up, and I can make this. And the people that are the most nerdy people that want to do that are the people with the greatest talent to do it. And so you get these record producers. You can just like churn out these incredible, like, perfect things that everybody just goes, yeah, that's exactly right. But you lose the musicianship, don't you? You lose the kind of like the love that was put in it.
It's weird, isn't it? It's like being a producer is an art form.
Yeah,
it is incredibly complicated, and even though now it's easy to engineer yourself,
yeah,
it's in some ways harder to produce yourself because you have so many options now.
yeah.
Like, it's not like, you know, like, you think about someone like Fatboy Slim. Like, there's a guy that basically, he never really moved off his Akai S2000.
No.
And because that was his sound, the sound of the filters,
Yeah.
the extreme editing, that was all part of his sound. And so his sound was his limitations.
Yeah.
You know, it was where he couldn't, like, create that. And so he just ended up with that cut. And that became his sound. And so nowadays it's harder to find your sound because you just have so many options, you know?
Yeah. I was talking to a guy called Ben Garnett, and we were talking about exactly the same thing. And it's like, sometimes the limitations give you the inspiration and they give you the, like, kind of creativity. I don't know. So this is another thing that we've talked a lot about on this show, is like creativity and inspiration. For you, what helps you get through those? Do you suffer from like writer's block? Do you have anything that helps you get through that? Is there any like?
I never try and write. I never try and write.
No.
I don't ever try. I can go like 2 years without writing a song.
Yeah.
And then when I'm in the right place or I'm in the wrong place,
Yeah.
a bunch of songs come out because they need to. But I never put myself under any pressure to write. You know, so I don't really like have writers. You know, I'm not like someone like Dave Ankers. It's like, I used to live with Dave Ankers, and he's just like bubble, and he would write like 6 songs a day, and I'd just be like, Dave, you're just a prolific writer. It's ridiculous how you know, but Dave knew his formulas, and you know, he knew what worked for him, and so he just kept writing. But I'm not that type of writer. I only ever write when I really, really need to get something off my chest.
Yeah.
If I ain't got nothing really important to say, I don't really want to say anything.
Yeah.
You know, why fill the world up with more bullshit that no one wants to hear anyway? You know what I mean? So I've never written for the sake of writing, you know?
So do you think with your new... So we sort of talked about you doing some recording, and this year you're going to kind of like try and do it. Do you think that you will come up against that? Do you think that's going to be something that or you're just going to let it come? Are you just going to...
Nah, I got 2 albums worth of material for the last 20 years of my life. I haven't put down. And to be honest, that's part of the reason why I don't write much, because until they're gone, until they're boxed and out of my head, I think my brain's kind of full.
Yeah.
So I just need to get them down. That's why it's got to happen this year. Like, some of them have got to go down. I'm not going to put myself under any pressure for an album. And I haven't really talked to anyone about it, because I realise that the more you talk about what you're going to do, the less energy you got for it.
Yeah.
You know? Every time you start talking about what you're going to do, you're actually taking energy away from doing it.
Yeah. I'm the opposite. I need that hype train to kind of get going. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. This is what's gonna happen. Here it comes. It's like sort of sexy, dirty talk to myself. Like, we're gonna.
Yeah, but if you put yourself, but if you put it out there and tell everyone that's what you're gonna do, and I've done that a few times. My album's coming this year and it hasn't. And
yeah.
It's kind of like the boy who cried wolf, like so many times. I realised that by doing that, I put myself under more pressure to do it.
Yeah.
And actually, I need less pressure. I need to be in a completely relaxed, euphoric state.
Yeah.
Where I've got nothing to worry about, no bills to pay, no nothing, and then I'm in the right place to write, you know.
Yeah.
That's how it works for me.
Is one of the last few things? Is there anyone that you want to like? Is there any sort of musicians that you like that don't really that don't have any like sort of attention that you would like to sort of just have an opportunity to talk about and promote? I mean, like I suppose for a little while it was like Fink, but like. Someone that's not famous. Is there any people that you... So, for example, like when like Al was on, he was talking about like Joanna Cook and some other people. And,
yeah, Joanna Cook.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I suppose I could talk about local people and stuff, but like, you know, to be honest, like, I haven't listened to like heaps of music over the last 4 years
No.
because I've done it for 20 odd years, you know, and it was like
need a break from it.
it was nice to just go and play a bunch of songs and get into singing and get stronger with my voice and sort of better at performing and tighter with my guitar and entertaining and working the crowd and all that. It's a different skill, and it's been a nice, interesting time for that. So I guess I haven't really listened to a heap of music, but then in the last year I have, and you know, in terms of famous people like Hosier, for example, like young 22-year-old Irish guy with like, you know, going on 40 in terms of his writing skill and his quality of content, of lyrical content and meaningful poetry.
Yeah.
Fantastic, you know, I think fantastic. James Bay, you know, good little young album. Nice, you know. So that was a couple of years ago. All that sort of stuff was pretty good. I quite like Nothing But Thieves. I like quite a lot of Spanish music that you would have never heard of, so it's probably not much point in talking about it. But there's a few really cool Spanish acts around now that I like.
Yeah.
I've been learning. I'm trying to think. Nothing But Thieves I quite like. Hang on, let me just pull my laptop up a minute. 1 second. I'd say, I was thinking there is this one guy that I really like.
Yeah.
And he's called Oscar, but it's actually spelled Asgier.
Okay.
And he's from Iceland.
Oh, cool.
And it's just, he's actually he's Icelandic, so he's really fucking boring, you know. Got a real sort of deadpan, dead tongue face.
Yeah.
But he sings a lot of stuff in falsetto, and some of his songs are truly beautiful. And it was originally written in Icelandic.
Yeah.
So an Icelandic version. It's called In the Silence, I think, the name of the album. And there's a few songs on it that are really cool. I'll send you a link so that you can. And it's kind of like this crazy blend of. It's what I like. It's like the Think vibe, where it's got that real programmed edge.
Yeah.
But with a lot of natural instruments.
Yeah.
Which I've always been about. I've always tried to kind of flip that house sound and bring it more into something real. Make sure there's enough.
Like that track that you were talking about.
Which one's that?
The one that you did that they didn't do the royalties for.
Oh yeah, that's the Say You Want It track. Exactly.
Yeah.
But that was 15 years ago now. So, and in fact, I was listening to that track the other day, thinking, "Quite, that was a good track. It was 15 years ago."
It's really good.
Katie
I like
Tucker
it.
singing on it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah, it's really good. It's got a real good feel to it. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, I love that kind of bringing of like real instruments into that environment. I'm trying to think of some bands that I love that do it, like Cinematic Orchestra or Jaga Jazzist, or like, you know, they kind of have this like, I don't know, they've got something about them, just something, you can just go and watch them live and they're just electric, and it's just this feeling of just like, wow, that's a real band doing that.
Quite like Portugal the Man as well. Have you heard that?
No.
There's a track called Feel It Still. That's going to be massive. I promise you that track's going to be massive. I'll give it 2 months before you hear that on the radio every day in England.
Is that the Joe Biddle padlock of music approval?
All right, it's you know what? When you hear it, you think it's a woman singing it.
Yeah, nice.
But it ain't. It's a guy, man, and he sings everything in falsetto. Again, I don't know why. I'm not into falsetto particularly, but it's just. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks, Sam. I've been kicking like a 1986. And it's just like, it's got a good vibe. And I know they're doing well in America, and it ain't going to be long before they hit England for sure. Like,
oh, that sounds cool. I went and saw. I'm a massive fan of this guy called John O'McCleary. I don't know if you've ever heard of him or not.
Oh, I never heard of him.
Oh my god, he is so good. He's just making. I just saw him like, I don't know, about a month ago in London. Oh my god, amazing.
Should send me some links. Would we have a link swap? Like,
yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, he like, you know, you were saying about there's like that kind of goosebumpy feeling. Like, I just thinking about that, just yeah.
Yeah, gets the hairs going.
He was epic. Yeah, no, that was amazing. If you're gonna do your new album, what are you hoping? What kind of sound are you thinking you might sort of do? What things? What do you think you might instrumentation? What do you think you might bring into it? Do you think it's just gonna be simple, just you? Like a small band, or do you think you'll do like something a bit more?
Yeah, there's a couple songs that will be pretty elaborate, I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah, I got a feeling there's a couple songs on there I'm gonna sort of experiment because I can.
Yeah.
And there'll be some songs, like there's one song on piano which I wrote about a friend of mine who unfortunately died on Boxing Day.
Oh, what?
Do you remember the singer? And do you remember I was in a band called Stonehouse?
No.
And there was
I think
a black guy, like a mixed race guy that used to sing. He was super good looking, super cool. Anyway, yeah, he died on Boxing Day, and I wrote a song about him called "Dear Friend," and it's just I wrote it on piano whilst I was living with him in Stonehouse.
Yeah.
I'm super sad that he's no longer here. You know, like,
That's
I can't.
horrible.
But so like that's part of the reason why I have to do some records because I need to record that song for him.
Yeah.
And it's just going to be probably a piano, my voice, and maybe like a cello or something.
That'd be nice.
But nothing else. Like, so yeah, I mean, like each song's got its own. And you know, I'm not really going to record an album. I thought about it, and I'm just going to record each song, and I might stop if I don't like it after 3 songs.
Yeah.
But I'm just going to take each song as it comes, not try and make an album, and because it's, you know, it's it can break you an album.
Yeah.
It can break you making an album.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel that. I feel that all the time.
People don't realise how much it means to get. I mean, for a start, if you want to release 12 tracks on an album, you probably need to record 18 to 20 to be able to formulate. You know, like a DJ goes to play a set, he don't turn up with the records he's going to play for the night and that's it. You need 4 times the amount of records to be able to work the audience and see what. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, tracks you thought you might play, all of a sudden they might, no, I just played that song and that's not going to work. And so when you make an album, you know, you think that that's going to be the 12 songs, but by the time you record 20, you realise that doesn't really go. That's a bit too much like this one.
Yeah.
So I don't really want to put myself under that sort of pressure. So I thought I'd just
do it.
Take
slowly.
Each track as it comes.
Yeah, and also that gives you the option to kind of like, you know, you can sort of release things when you want. You don't have to. It just doesn't have to be under the constraints of like this is going to be a finished thing and it will flow from start to finish, which I think is quite hard, isn't it? Really,
it's beautiful. That, you know, I love the album. I mean, one of my favourite albums of all time is Pink Floyd Animals. It's got 5 tracks. The first one is an acoustic track, about 4.5 minutes, and the last song's an acoustic track, which is pretty much the same as the first track, and that's about 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And there's 3 songs in the middle.
Nice.
And they're all 12 minutes long, or something, you know.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'd love to be able to do that, of course, but like, I just need to get a couple of tracks down, get them out there, and if someone says, "Hey, I like that," or "I like it," I might make some more, and that's enough.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it's a lot of pressure. It is a massive amount of pressure. Is there any like advice that you'd give to people who are like kind of starting their journey, or is there anything that you think is useful for people that don't?
Yeah, life is short. Don't be a knobber. Yeah, I mean, don't get caught up in the industry. Don't remember to be humble. If you do want a record deal, remember that labels sign people, not assholes.
Yeah.
Mean it. You know, don't think it's going to come easy. If you're doing it because you want to be famous, then set up a YouTube channel and like learn how to walk across a wire or some shit. You know, because you're probably going to get famous quicker than that.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you want to get famous, you're probably not going to mean any music anyway. I don't know, like. Just enjoy it, and try and be as productive as possible, I suppose, and don't take any advice off people like me who think you know about the industry. You know what I mean?
I think
just get on with it and mean it and feel it and try and be a nice person and try and work hard.
Yeah. And
don't expect
to just be handed to you.
Yeah, and also like, you know, don't think the world owes you a favour and don't get that like Plymouth mentality like. You got like I'd say like if you want to be a musician and you want to be a writer and you want to write stuff, live.
Yeah.
You know, get out of where you live. Get out of the people that you're used to being around. If you're stuck in a little rut, it's because you are in a little rut. Get out, move away, go somewhere different, interesting, be inspired. Do something that's nothing to do. Like, don't do music all the time. Take a break. Go and get some experience, get some life, so you've got something to write about, something to feel about.
Yeah.
If you're just a musician and all you do is music all day, every day, you're a boring twat.
I don't think I've ever been more productive or more able to write songs than when I moved to Plymouth that first time, and just constantly, like, I just could write all the time. I was miserable, and I was like in the middle of some pretty dark shit, but like I could just write. I could write all day, every day. Songs just came out. They were shit. They were absolutely shit songs.
They weren't, mate.
But they came out. They come out all the time, and like now I don't write at all. And this was partly why I started this show, because like I wanted just to talk to people that I liked and respected and thought had an interesting story, and ask them the question: where does it come from? Where does creativity come from? Where does inspiration come from? But you're right, it comes from lots of places. But being out of your comfort zone, being somewhere where you're not necessarily like experiencing the same thing over and over again, you know, having some real life interaction with people is like invaluable, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's why I probably don't write anymore, because I just like use all my time up with the Company B band, and you know, it just doesn't happen anymore. And I wondered why. I just wondered why I can't get it back. I used to write. I'm sure I could do it if I tried, but
do you know, like, I mean, how old are you now, Dan? You must be like
35.
35, right. So I think, you know, it's like they say youth is wasted on the young, and they're right. It's like I learned like so much in the last 5 years about myself, about the world around me, and about, you know, everything from economics to engineering to, you know, like politics, like just so much more. I have such a better understanding of life that I should be in a better position to write.
Yeah.
Because I have so much more to talk about.
Yeah.
But in the same respect, I'm now 43 and I ain't got to prove shit to no one.
No.
And that is part of the drive for writing.
Yeah.
It's feeling like you know, you need people to fucking listen to you. It's important. I need you to give a shit about me. And that is partly an ego thing too that comes with youth. But that's part of the driving force. So it could be that, you know, I think your priorities change. That used to drive me to write. Now what drives me to write is, you know, I feel more comfortable to write when I'm in a really relaxed space where, like I said before, I have nothing really to worry about around me. Because now I have all this life experience, I've got things to talk about. So, but what I need is for all them things to stop for long enough for me to write something, you know, and not have all that crazy chaos of so many things going on in my life, you know.
Yeah.
So, I mean, crikey, the material out there right now to write. I mean, the world is a fucking disaster, isn't it? You know.
Yeah. We could.
I mean, everyone's getting robbed.
Yeah. I like bands. I I feel like people like Bill Hicks and Rage Against the Machine never could have had a more productive period than right now. This could be the greatest influence for a generation.
Do you remember the Fat Bollard? Fat Bollard?
Yeah.
Well, you know, I recorded them, and I said, man, you got everything it's going to take to be massive. And then a couple of years, and of course, like the whole point of Fat Bollard is not to be massive. It's like it's griping about all the things that are wrong with the world. That's what Patrick does best. And now, you know, like they've had they were busking in the street in like Manchester or something, and someone filmed it, went viral, and it's had like 15 million views now.
Mental,
you know, and it's because of the material. The subject material is like, fuck you, government. You know, that's what and he's literally saying, fuck you. That's what he's talking about,
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you council man, fuck off. I'm not getting off my fucking street. I'm allowed a bus. What are you on about? You know, and it's like, or you know, the taxes and what you're taking. And now all of a sudden, because people are aware of it, like it matters, and so everyone's like, yeah, he's got something valuable to say. Like finally, you know.
Yeah.
So so I don't know what we're talking about writing, weren't we?
Well, like having a situation where like you're infused to write, but also writing about kind of being real, talking from the heart. There's a lot to be said for that, isn't there? There's a lot of this, like, you know, if you've got something to say and you actually mean it, then that people listen. Hopefully.
I write a lot of one-liners, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm just looking, because I've always got bits of paper kicking around, and there's always going to be like some lyric I've written on something somewhere. That one's, now you're one step closer to the truth. Is your life worth something or a spoof? That's it. You know, and sometimes like you find, and then when I look back, you know, so I'll stick all these bits of paper that they'll just sit in a drawer, and then when I've got the guitar part, then and I'm thinking about like a hook line or something, then that'll all come out, and I'll go, oh yeah. and then sometimes I get a song, and if I don't, it just sits there for another 5 years, and then maybe 5 years later, I get a song.
I have like about 5 workbooks, school workbooks, and a diary full of just lyrics, just writing and writing. And yeah, but I never ever use any of it. And I used to use a Jam Man, which is like a loop pedal, and I used to make these like 16 seconds of songs. So I just have like, you know, like 4 bars of something, and it's just like I've got like 1,000 of them. But I can't...
That's a good bit of advice, isn't it? Like you're saying about good advice to give to people. That is a good bit of advice, like, actually, because the songs that I've written are the ones that I push to finish there and then.
Yeah.
The ones that you go, oh, yeah, that's a good idea, that's the hook, and that's like half the first verse.
Yeah.
If you put that down
it's
and
gone.
go, I'll get to that later, you're probably never going to do it.
No.
So, yeah, that is probably that overwhelming piece of songwriting advice you could give someone is if you start a song, just even when you think you've got nothing left, just keep going and try and get it like formulated as much as you can, like, you know.
Yeah. I can't agree with that more. I don't think I've ever managed to use in 10 years any of these things that I've written down or recorded. It's just there. It's just there.
Yeah.
It's just the archive of like stuff. I mean, I literally would just shit out these like just all the time. I just have so much. I had so much that I just had to write it down. It just spill out into my life. It'd be written down everywhere, and it just went. And I didn't know why. In fact, it went for me because I was writing with this guy called Christian, and we were writing all the time. And he went to Bali, and I just stopped writing, and then I joined Company B, and I just gig all the time. And
I was just going to say that. I was going to say, like, you know, in that situation, a writing partner is good, you know.
Yeah.
Like my friend Dan, who died, like we wrote quite a few songs together, and he was a great writing partner. Tim Creswell was another good writing partner, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes the writing partner can just provide all those little bits that are missing, or they see the beauty, you know. And a lot of the times, like Tim would like almost write a song, and I would just finish it for him.
Yeah. Sometimes you need that, don't you? You need someone just to go like, it's just that next chord, you know?
You just got just do that again, or like, and they can just see that. Well, I don't know where to go from that. Well, why don't you just take that line and then we can make a little mid-8 out of that, and then we go back to the chorus and then we're out. And they, oh yeah, fucking brilliant, that's it, you know.
And then it's done. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So sometimes you do need to have like. So for you, if you've got like a big stack of stuff like that, then maybe it is time to find another writing partner.
Yeah. I think having somebody believe in you enough is the key, isn't it? Someone who believes that you can do it, like that is sometimes enough. Someone that just sort of says, "Yeah, that's great. I love that. That's brilliant. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Do more of that." Yeah, I don't know. It's an ongoing thing, and I'm 11 episodes into this, and I've heard amazing advice from loads of people, and I still haven't got any better. So I'm open like another year of these podcasts, and I'm going to go back, rewatch them all, and then just do it. I'm going to write it. I'm going to write an album or something. It's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm a bit of I would criticise myself for being the guy that puts. I'll do it later. Like and I've got. You know, I'm like I'm a hoarder of like stuff. I'm a hoarder of projects.
Yeah.
You know. I mean, I just like last night I ripped my old iMac G3 like, which I'd already taken the CRT out before I came to Mallorca. I thought I'm taking that with me.
Yeah.
But I only want the case. So I took the CRT out, but it still had all the other bits in it. And now since then I've got into like electronics and all. So I'm a proper nerd. So I ripped it apart and I've got this DC fan. I'll be using that for something.
Yeah.
And then I got circuit boards down here with heat sinks on it. Well, I know I'm going to use that. And, you know, and like
happens,
I'm a hoarder of shit, you know. But I'm a hoarder of information and song ideas and. You know, like, but putting it off to later is not always the best strategy. Although
No.
I will say that now that I do this job, all those things I've been putting off till later, that one by one, I'm getting on top of them.
Yeah.
And when they're all done, I'm probably gonna write another album.
Yeah.
I don't feel I'd have recorded the first 2 by then.
Yeah. Yeah. Good luck to you, man. Good luck to you.
Oh.
Are you coming back to the UK at any point, or are you settled
Yeah.
up?
I haven't been there for over a year now, and I was only there for 4 days. In fact, the last 2 years that I have come back, I've been there for 4 days and jumped straight on the first plane out of there.
Yeah, get out, get the hell out.
I've got to say that as much as I want to see everyone, and I do, and there's so many people that I want to see, I'm only going to come for 4 days. I'm out there again. So yeah, I mean, it's like I'm not in any real rush, you know, like.
No.
But
Well, I'm sure
I
when you
kind
come
of feel
back.
like, I think everyone feels like everyone in the world feels like they want to make their mark.
Yeah.
And in fact, if you go on my Facebook, right, Denzel Washington put a post up, and I haven't been on Facebook for over a year, and it's mostly because of this guy from Plymouth, because he was a fake, you know. Oh, everything's brilliant. Oh, thank you so much, thank you so much. But really, he's just a liar. It's all look. And I realised that I started to reanalyze my Facebook feed, and I realised that most people were trying to make their lives look better than what they actually are.
Yeah.
I'm actually not interested in fake, you know. I'm not interested in it at all. So I've been on Facebook for about a year. But Denzel Washington put something up, and it's basically about that subject. So I did the big status update for once, you know, because I'm just so like, I've just had enough of all that.
It is all nonsense. Everyone just spins the line about how happy their relationship is, how amazing their band is. Everybody does it, don't they? You know, like I'm guilty of it. You go to a gig, you take a shot from the best spot. You don't take a shot from the shittiest spot. Everyone does it. It's like a constant, but it means that everyone has this feeling of like, you know, like how we say that like women feel constantly inadequate because of all the glamorization and photoshopping of everything. That's the same thing, isn't it? Everyone feels.
And that's happened on a global scale now, you know, where
everyone
has the tools to make themselves look better.
Yeah.
And but Denzel Washington said in this video, like, the problem is, he says, back in the day, he said, we all wanted to be liked by our friends, you know, and the people that we knew. He said, but now we want to be liked by 1 million people. Yeah. You know? Yeah, it's just unrealistic, and it's completely pointless, and it's making people more stupid. We live in an age where we have more information. Like, I am smarter now because of the internet, for sure. Like, there's so many things I know about now because every day I think, I wonder how you make that. I wonder how that's made. I wonder how battery technology works. I wonder about exactly how that Tesla electric motor is working and why is it so efficient. And I can just find that information out. But similarly, if I want to, I can just carry on becoming dumber and dumber, or reading The Sun online and being misinformed, or, you know, listening to Nigel Farage and being misinformed, or whatever, you know. It's like you can choose to be smarter in this generation of people, or you can invariably end up more dumb. People, you know, if you just add up a person's daily routine and you add up the time that he had to look at his phone, and you take all them moments out, and then you span that out over a year, and you think about how much time you could have for something more constructive for your own development than just checking my phone and checking my WhatsApp, checking the feed on Instagram, checking the feed on Snapchat. It is off the scale stupidity going on, you know.
We're it's amazing. Do you watch the show Black Mirror?
Yeah,
it's that, isn't it? We are just like leading down the world of Black Mirror. It's
You're talking about the like one, where if you're not liked enough, then you go down in society, and then you can't even get a loan or get a job because you haven't got a good enough rating to be anyone important.
I hate to think how much. I mean, like you said about coming off Facebook, but like I hate to think how much time collectively. And it's the algorithm is designed specifically to hook you in, isn't it? The minute you put it down, it starts pumping through notifications. Where are you? Did you know you could do this? Blah 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 blah. I get it all day. I get, like, from Twitter, it's like, this is what's happening. This is what's you should post about this. If I run a page, they say you haven't posted on this page for a little while. Why don't you post an update? This is how you keep people's attention. It's this constant like attention.
Hey, it's crazy. People don't realise what's happening. Like I said to you at the start, you know, now I've got a piece of tape over my eyesight on my Mac. And yesterday, because of something I saw on YouTube, I've switched off the microphone on my Facebook now. Because when one of these pieces of software, like now I've got Skype on my phone now to talk to you because my Apple Mac fan's too noisy, right? But when I put this back down, I'm switching the mic back off, because when these pieces of software have access, when you say yes, you can access my phone, that doesn't mean my microphone or my camera that you're not saying whilst running the application.
No,
it means at any time. So Facebook are now capable of listening to the conversation I have with you, and me say, "Ah, do you fancy going to the cinema on Saturday night?" And then the next thing, you go on Facebook and there's an advert for the cinema.
Yeah. Yeah, it does it. It
It's
does it.
based on an audio conversation that's got nothing to do with Facebook.
I know, it's bad, isn't it? And it's only going to get worse than this. It is only going to get worse than this. This is like this is the beginning of it, sadly.
I think the future is unfortunately full of government drones, like constantly flying around, looking at us, telling us what we can and can't do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think it's a pretty picture.
We'll look back on these days and we'll go, you know what? We could do basically fucking anything back then.
Yeah.
Now you
I'm
can't
worried
even...
that I'm not going to be allowed to drive my electric skateboard in 6 months. You know what I mean? Because all of a sudden some prick decided like to fall off it, and now someone's suing someone else, and you know, the world's gone mad.
Well, but then I think that we feel like that every generation feels like that when they move out of the generation that they were part of, and so we just see it's constantly like that, isn't it? Like we always believe that the world is going to be like, it's just a constant thing, isn't it? You know, you never
stop watching the news, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stop watching the news. In fact, there's a Morrissey track that I heard the other day, and it's like, and I urge you, and there's the lyrics, I urge you to stop watching the news because the news conspires to frighten you.
Yeah.
It makes you feel all alone, makes you feel like your mind's not your own. Stop watching the news. And I'm just like, I don't even like Morrissey. I know he was a legend and stuff, but I always thought he was a bit of a middle class, or the middle class people. It wasn't really for me, like his sound particularly.
No.
But when I heard that track, I was like, you've nailed it there, Morrissey, man.
Yeah.
Straight on the money.
I think that's a good example of somebody summarising how a nation feels at a time, and we need more of that, don't we? We need people that can kind of have these moments, like Rage Against the Machine had for that moment, and like, you know, something about that, isn't there? Something about these moments where people go, this is how we feel, like, it's just...
Yeah, it was great what happened with that Rage Against the Machine a few years ago when it was like the peak X Factor era.
Yeah, I went to it. I went to the gig. They did. I went to the Hyde Park gig. Amazing.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
Just, you know, and that's what they've always all been about. But the fact that they just, you know, that was a Facebook campaign and it put Rage Against the Machine at #1 on Christmas.
Yeah, mental.
Rizzo. I was so happy about that, honest. Another unknown band, the Bedroom Project.
Okay.
They're like Rage Against the Machine band. They used to come to Plymouth. I think they've all split up, but there's a bunch of material online of those guys, and that was one of my most fun times in the studio for something a little bit more edgy and away from what I was used to producing, you know.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed those guys too.
I think like there's one thing that must have been awesome for you is just seeing this like crop of talent come through and like working with people like Seth Lakeman and all these people that come through your studio and seeing catching these moments where you're like, this is my studio, you know.
How many friends I ended up with, like, you know, Land of the Giants, for example, like great band, Andy Quick, just phenomenal, like, you know, like that's a really good bit of advice. Go watch Andy Quick. Yeah. Anytime you like, go watch him, and you will always get 110% delivery. Yeah. Like 100%. He just gives it everything every time. Like Muse were like that, and that's how Muse got their 5-album deal. You know. Yeah. He could play to 5 people or 500 or 5,000, make no difference to Matt. He played with the same conviction every time. Yeah. You know.
Yeah, no, I was a big Muse fan back in the start. Big.
He used to come into Vibes, didn't he, Matt? And
I don't know.
Yeah, we all sort of knew him a little bit to say all right to and stuff, you know, before he was super rich and famous.
I bought the Muscle Museum EP, which was like limited to like 990 copies from you know, like where I can't think what it was called now. Down by sort of Toys R Us, that music shop that was down there, the vinyl shop that was there. I just picked it up from, I can't think what the hell it's called.
The classic old music shop that was there for years. I think it was called Rival Records, wasn't it?
Possibly, I don't know. I can't remember. But they used to like just dish out like massive Nirvana posters and all kinds of cool shit.
That's right.
They were awesome.
Rival Records, it was.
Yeah, that was
opposite
good.
Opposite the key cutting shop.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
man.
That was good. So yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? Really, what they've kind of gone on to do. Before we wrap up, is there anything that you would like to promote? Is there anywhere anyone can hear your music or check out any of your stuff? Because I know you're probably not fussed about that, but I try and put some stuff to promote people that have been on the show if they want it. I know you're not fussed, but
all right. Well, I'll tell you what, right? Because it's funny because the other day I was trying to like, I've got some Spanish friends out here now, and they were like, I know that you've done a lot of shit, but where is it? And I remembered that I set up a SoundCloud that I never use.
Yeah.
But it's got that Say You Want It, and it's got a bunch of other trip-hop tracks that are written with Rob Condon, who's a legend.
Cool.
I mean, he was one of the most inspiring people in my life, Rob, He taught me how to produce. He taught me how to use compressors. He just taught me everything about, and he taught me how to make records for the sake of records, not for a style or a genre, just for the vibe,
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of tracks of him with a woman called Tanya Ballura, who did some, and it was very like Massive Attack, Portishead,
Yeah.
a local. It was that era, So there's a SoundCloud page of me, which is obviously just called Joe Biddle or something, and
Yeah.
And so you can look at that. And there's also my YouTube, which has got a couple of songs on it.
Yeah.
One of them's called You and I, which is worth a listen. It's a really cheesy video that a friend of mine. I just want to cut a little video of something of us goofing around Mallorca, so you can kind of see where I live on that, and we're all
nice.
just. You can see it's not serious, It's just a bit of a joke. And then of course there's my Facebook page, which is just Joe Biddle Music, and there's a couple of live recordings on that of just live performances, and one of them they're both with a French girl from Paris called Clémence Avril, and she's really talented, beautiful singer, and plays piano really good, and we just did that for fun,
Yeah.
So but hopefully, yeah, if you keep your eye on Joe Biddle Music, Facebook's probably the most likely place where you're going to see new material, which hopefully will come up it will definitely. I'll put something up before the season starts, so before we get to May, there will probably be like a little push from me to put some new fresh content in for this year,
Yeah. Oh, good on you, man. Thank you so much for coming and joining us and having a little chat. And you're welcome back anytime. Obviously.
I have one more request.
Yeah.
I'm going to interview you next time, so I want to. I just want like a none of this nonsense, and me and you get to have a regular conversation, because I need to hear about what you're doing.
Yeah.
For me, that was too weird. I've never had to sit here and talk about myself for so long.
No, I will feel the same way. I feel exactly the same way. Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? But I just, you're a bit of a, you're a bit of an old school hero, and I think it's important in it to have a little chat about these things. And
mate, it's been really nice to see you anyway and have a good chat.
Yeah, likewise. All right, thanks so much. This has been the Noise Filter podcast, and we will catch you next time. Cheers, Joe. See you later.
Peace and love. Ciao.
Ciao.